Welcome to an introduction to REDCap. In this tutorial, we will briefly touch upon what REDCap is, the origins, and what it is used for in current day research. We will also do a brief tour of the interface, and we will also build out a small REDCap project for ourselves as demonstration. REDCap was created in 2004 at Vanderbilt University to support clinical researchers who needed a secure data collection tool, which also met HIPAA compliance standards. What made REDCap stand out from other data collection tools is the firm belief its developers had in that no one can know and understand research as well as researchers. In 2006, the REDCap Consortium was launched, which allowed outside non-for-profit organizations to get access to the codebase of REDCap, enabling them to install their own REDCap system for their own research purposes. The consortium built a strong community with international participation, and by 2009, they established annual in-person conferences. Now, one of the organizations that was interested and built upon the REDCap codebase was the University at Buffalo. To access the Buffalo REDCap page, go to redcap.buffalo.edu and you'll be prompted to log in. You can use your UBIT credentials to log in. In case you do not have access to REDCap, you can always email redcaphelp@buffalo.edu to ensure that your account has access. Now, once you're logged in, you will see a screen similar to the screenshot on the slide where there is a top menu that allows you to, one, see and view your current existing projects, or two, start a new project, or three, visit the help and FAQ section of REDCap, or view training videos that are created and provided by REDCap to better understand the system and interface. In this next section of this tutorial, we will go over some of the common pages within the REDCap interface to become more familiar with them. This way we can start building out our own project. So go ahead and click on New Project on the top menu, and you will be prompted to insert your project title, the project purpose, and optionally you can input some project notes if you'd like. Now, it's really important that if you're creating a project for practice or for fun or to just learn, you want to specify that in the project's purpose section. Because when you submit the project, there is a dedicated REDCap team that goes over your project and ensures that your project is in compliance with HIPAA standards and your project is in compliance with IRB protocols. So you want to make sure that you let REDCap know ahead of time that this is for practice. We're not really doing any real research on real human subjects. This is purely for educational purposes. Once your project is created, you will see a screen similar to the screenshot on the slide. Now, if this is your first time using REDCap or you're still in the beginning phases of learning the system, this may seem very intimidating with all the options and all the text and all the links, but I reassure you that REDCap is not as complicated as it looks. It just takes practice and it takes time to get familiar with the system, and then eventually becomes second nature to create a project that you need for your research and work purposes. Follow the text on the right of the slide to make sure you enable the proper options that you need in order to start working on your project and eventually in order to publish and submit your project. You may notice there are many field types to choose from for your project. And later on in this tutorial, we will actually go in and look at some field types and start creating some fields as practice. The public survey URL is a universal link that anyone can use to access your project. Now, later on, when you start building more complicated REDCap projects, you may want to have individualized links to your participants. Perhaps you're gathering personal information from your users. In that case, REDCap will generate an individualized link to your participants, and you may not want to use a public survey URL link. This way you can keep track of who filled out your form and who didn't. Just a note to keep in mind for when you start building out more complicated projects. It's important that when you download this PDF, you save it to a location that you can access later on because REDCap will ask you for this PDF when you submit the project. Once you submit your project, the REDCap team will go over your project, and once your project is in production, they will send you an email. So you know your project is in production once you receive the email. And also, when you log in to your project, you can see on the top left, there is a project status. And in this case, it will say production in green. If your project requires IRB approval, it is very important that you obtain the approval from the IRB prior to creating the REDCap project. You want to have your IRB approval first done, then you want to create your REDCap project and then submit it to REDCap. If you do not have the REB approval beforehand, this may cause issues later on when you submit your project for production and the REDCap team goes over your project. And if you're missing the necessary approval from IRB, this will create delays and issues for your project to be approved. If you are planning to do quality improvement surveys through REDCap, it is important that you still attain IRB approval in case that your study meets human research criteria, because later on this can come as serious non-compliance. Because of that, it is highly recommended that even if you're planning just quality improvement projects, that you submit for IRB determination beforehand. Thank you, and I hope that this small presentation was a good introduction to REDCap, and I hope that you were able to build out your first REDCap project, and from here on you can practice more and discover and learn more about REDCap to start using its many features for your day-to-day work and research. Thank you.